The Detroit man accused of killing his ex-wife inside the hospital will stand trial.
The shooting leaving people across Metro Detroit fearing for the worst at what should be a place of healing.
Police say Mario Green walked into the Detroit campus, shot his ex-wife, then left the scene.
On August 22nd, 2025, in the basement of Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit, a woman's worst nightmare became reality. Latricia Brown, a 40-year-old housekeeping employee, was shot and killed by the one person she'd been desperately trying to escape. Her ex-husband, Mario Green, had found her at work, and this time there was no running away. Before we dive deeper into this heartbreaking story, if you're new to Shadow Crime, please hit that like button, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss a case. These stories matter, and your support helps us keep telling them. Now, let's talk about Latricia. She wasn't just another statistic. She was a real person with dreams, fears, and a job. She showed up to every single day at one of Detroit's busiest hospitals. The people who knew her described her as hardworking, kind, someone who kept to herself but always had a smile for her co-workers. But behind that smile was a woman living in absolute terror. You see, Latricia had been married to Mario Green since 2012. On paper, it might have looked like a normal marriage at first, but friends would later reveal that Mario was abusive in ways that are hard to even talk about. We're talking physical abuse, emotional manipulation, the kind of control that slowly suffocates a person's spirit. Latricia would sometimes call off work just to hide the bruises from her co-workers. Think about that for a second. She was so ashamed, so trapped, that she'd rather lose a day's pay than let anyone see what he was doing to her. In 2018, Mario filed for divorce. You'd think that would be Latricia's moment of freedom, right? Her chance to finally breathe. But here's the thing about abusive relationships that most people don't understand. The danger doesn't end when the relationship ends. Sometimes it gets worse. And for Latricia, it got so much worse. Even after the divorce, she continued living with Mario. I know what you're probably thinking. Why would she stay? But it's never that simple. Financial reasons, fear, manipulation, maybe a combination of all three. Whatever the reason, Latricia stayed in that house with her abuser until March 2025, her 40th birthday. That day, during an argument, Mario kicked her out. And finally, she left for good. But leaving Mario didn't mean he was done with her. In fact, it seemed to trigger something even darker in him. He started calling her workplace obsessively. We're not talking about a few calls here and there. Hospital records would later show that Mario Green made approximately 50 phone calls to Henry Ford Hospital. 50. He also showed up uninvited multiple times, trying to see Latricia, trying to get to her.
Henry Ford Hospital shooting back in August. The Detroit man accused of killing his ex-wife inside the hospital will stand trial.
The shooting leaving people across Metro Detroit fearing for the worst at what should be a place of healing.
Police say Mario Green walked into the Detroit campus, shot his ex-wife, then left the scene. Green was arrested early the next morning.
But today's testimony brought new light to the case through witness accounts and new surveillance videos. 7 News Detroit reporter Darren Cunningham talking with Brown's loved ones today outside the courtroom. Darren?
It's the beginning of justice for us.
Deonda and Dia Easley tell me they left court feeling overwhelmed with new information regarding their cousin Latricia Brown's death, on top of facing her alleged killer, Mario Green. Brown divorced Green in 2018. Detroit police say the 53-year-old killed his ex-wife when he showed up to her job at Henry Ford Hospital August 22nd. On the stand, one of her coworkers recalled Green's interaction with the victim seconds before the shooting.
Do you recall the nature of the conversation between Mario and Trish?
He was just asking her questions like, oh, I need help with a bill. Can you come out to the hall? And she was working and answering his questions.
What happens next after you hear their conversation?
I heard a gunshot.
Brown's coworker, who says she didn't see where the shot came from, called 911.
Where was Trish?
In the room with me, on the floor dead.
Coincidentally, the officer in charge of the case, Isaac Lamas, testified that he happened to be at the hospital already.
I was investigating a homicide that happened a couple hours prior.
Lamas says he started searching the building for the suspect, but by then, Green had already left. Green shouldn't have been there in the first place. The 40-year-old victim had filed multiple personal protection orders against him for stalking and vandalism. Take a look. This officer-worn body camera footage shows Green at her job in April.
So what's going on with you? I'm talking to you though. She don't talk because I didn't call you. She called you. Hey, can I get additional officers? That's my wife. We just can't come on.
A judge denied her PPO request in June, but a PPO was approved in July. However, it was never served. After Brown's murder, Green was on the run, sparking a large-scale manhunt. His car was spotted in northwest Detroit hours after the shooting, but it wasn't until early the next morning that he was arrested on the city's east side. Green's defense attorney maintains his client's innocence, calling it a shoddy investigation.
I don't see how we get to Mr. Green as being the shooter, or that he was stalking, or that he was there without consent.
Latricia didn't deserve what happened to her at all. And our prayer is that no one else, no other family has to go through what we went through, and that Latricia's words will be received and heard and justice will be served.
Green's next court date is December 26. Outside 36th District Court, Darren Cunningham.
Latricia knew she was in danger. She wasn't naive about what Mario was capable of. So on June 13, 2025, she did what so many domestic violence victims are told to do. She went to court and filed for a personal protection order. She filled out the paperwork, explained her situation, and waited for the system to protect her. It didn't. Her first PPO was denied. The reason? It wasn't detailed enough. Can you imagine that? You're running for your life. Your ex-husband is stalking you at work, and the court tells you that you didn't provide enough details. What more do they need? Does someone have to actually die before the paperwork is considered detailed enough? But Latricia didn't give up. A lot of women in her position would have just accepted defeat, thinking the system had failed them and there was nothing left to do. Not Latricia. On July 20th, 2025, just over a month before her death, she filed again, and this time she wrote something that still haunts everyone who reads it. She wrote, "I am asking for help before this goes too far." Let that sink in for a moment. This woman knew. She could feel it coming. She was literally begging the system to save her life before it was too late. And you know what? The court approved it this time. On July 21st, her protection order was granted. Finally, right? Finally, she'd have some legal protection. Finally, Mario would be forced to stay away from her. Except there was one massive problem. Mario Green was never served the paperwork. The protection order existed on paper, but he never actually received it. So legally, he didn't even know he was violating anything. Though let's be real here. Do we really think a piece of paper would have stopped him? This is a man who'd been showing up at her job dozens of times, calling 50+ times, completely ignoring every boundary she tried to set. A restraining order wasn't going to suddenly make him respect her space. 31 days. That's how long Latricia lived after that protection order was approved. 31 days of probably thinking she was finally safe, that the system had finally come through for her. 31 days of maybe sleeping a little better at night, thinking the worst was behind her. On the morning of August 22nd, Latricia went to work like she always did. She clocked in, probably said good morning to her co-workers, maybe grabbed a coffee. Just another Thursday at Henry Ford Hospital. But Mario had other plans. He showed up at the hospital that day, and he made his way down to the basement where Latricia worked. One of her co-workers would later testify in court about what happened next. She heard a gunshot, just one. Then she ran toward the sound and found Latricia lying in a pool of blood, gone. Just like that, in the place where she earned her living, surrounded by the tools of her daily work. Latricia Brown's life ended. Surveillance footage caught a man matching Mario's description running from Latricia's office area, holding what police identified as a weapon. He didn't even try to help her. He just ran, left her there to die alone on that cold basement floor while her co-workers scrambled to save her life. But it was already too late. Now here's where you'd think the story would end with a massive manhunt, right? Police scouring the city, helicopters, the whole 9 yards. But Mario Green was arrested the very next morning on Detroit's east side without any incident. No dramatic chase, no standoff. He was just picked up almost like he'd been waiting for it. And honestly, that makes you wonder, doesn't it? Did he plan to get caught? Did he even care about the consequences? Or was killing Latricia worth whatever punishment he knew was coming? But wait, it gets even more twisted. Mario didn't act alone in the aftermath. A man named Anthony Lilamont Barnett, 54 years old, was charged just 3 days later on August 25th. What was his role? Police say he helped Mario flee from the scene. He allegedly lied to police officers and aided a murderer in getting away. For that, Barnett got slapped with a $100,000 cash bond, a GPS tether, and a curfew. He's charged with being an accessory after the fact and lying to a police officer. Makes you think about the people who enable abusers, doesn't it? The friends and family members who look the other way or actively help them escape justice. So, who exactly was Mario Green? What kind of person does something like this? Well, this wasn't his first rodeo with the law. Not even close. Back in 2001, he was convicted of aggravated stalking. Yes, you heard that right. This man had literally been convicted of stalking before. He also served 6 years in prison for arson. 6 years. This is someone who burns things when he's angry. And he had a child support charge that put him on probation until June 2025, just 2 months before he murdered Latricia. Here's what really gets me, though. With that criminal history, with a stalking conviction and prison time for arson, how was this man able to get so close to Latricia? How did he slip through every crack in the system? The courts knew who he was. Law enforcement knew who he was. And still, Latricia's protection order sat unserved while she went to work every day, completely vulnerable. The preliminary hearing happened just last week on December 18th and 19th. It lasted 3 hours in Judge Sean Jock's courtroom at 36th District Court. Mario's defense attorney tried to argue that the police investigation was shoddy, that they didn't look for alternative suspects. But let's be real here. The surveillance footage shows a man fitting Mario's exact description running from the scene with a weapon. His history of stalking Latricia is documented through 50 phone calls to her workplace. Body camera footage from earlier in the year shows him argue with Latricia through her office window, being escorted out by security while yelling, "I choose to come see her if I choose to come see her, and that's my wife." She wasn't his wife anymore. She hadn't been his wife for 7 years. But in his mind, Latricia still belonged to him.
Man accused of killing his ex-wife at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit is headed to trial. Mario Green back in court today to face murder and stalking charges. This shooting happened back in August, sparking a citywide manhunt and raising questions about personal protection orders in the state. Fox News' Brandon Hudson is live outside the courthouse in Detroit. Brandon.
Yeah, Ruben, you may remember this brought up a lot of questions about personal protection orders and filing them and just trying to protect people who went and sought out after those PPOs. But look, at the end of the day, there is enough evidence, according to the judge, to send Mario Green to trial for the murder of his ex-wife, Latricia Green. During today's hearing, there were 2 key pieces of video evidence. The first appears to show Mario Green walking to Latricia's office in the basement of Henry Ford Hospital on the morning of that shooting. And then moments later, a Detroit police officer testified that same video shows Mario Green running from that office location with a gun in his hand. Now, we heard from a witness who worked with Latricia Green the day she died, but we were not allowed to show her face by court order. First, you're going to hear her back and forth with the prosecution, and then her back and forth with the defense.
Do you recall the nature of the conversation between Mario and Trish?
He was just asking her questions like, "Oh, I need help with a bill. Can you come out to the hall?" And she was working and answering his questions.
What happens next after you hear their conversation?
I heard a gunshot.
Once you heard the gunshot, what, if anything, did you do?
I looked over, saw Trish, and I ran to the bathroom, and then I ran out the door, and then I ran to my coworker, pushed her in the door, locked the door, and called 911.
The demeanor of the person that was at the window was not hostile. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And there was no argument.
No.
There was no indication of violence.
No.
What's he called?
Now, investigators say that Mario Green walked into Henry Ford Hospital on August 22nd. He shot and killed his ex-wife, who had a personal protection order against him, and officers arrested Mario Green 10 hours later. Now, the other video that you're watching that was played in court was from the body camera of a hospital security officer from April 2025. It was 4 months before the shooting. It shows an encounter between the former couple at Latricia Green's office.
So what's going on? I'm talking to you though. She don't talk because I didn't call you. She called you. So what you doing up here? I come here if I choose to come here. I mean, why are you bothering me, man? Get to her. They want to Can I get additional officers?
Mario Green faces first-degree murder charges, aggravated stalking, and numerous weapons charges. He has a hearing at Circuit Court on December 26th. Live in downtown Detroit, I'm Brandon Hudson, Fox 2 News.
All right, Brandon, we'll be following that closely. Brandon, thanks for that live report.
Judge Jacques found enough probable cause to bind Mario Green over to Circuit Court for trial. He's facing first-degree premeditated murder, discharge of firearm in a building causing death, aggravated stalking, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, and 4 counts of felony firearm, if convicted of first-degree murder. He's looking at life in prison without the possibility of parole. His arraignment in Circuit Court is set for later this month. But here's the thing that really breaks my heart about this case. Latricia's friend, Shaniqua Gibson, spoke out after her death. She said Mario was physically abusive in the most heinous ways. She said Latricia would call off work to hide bruises. This wasn't a secret. People knew. Her friends knew. Her co-workers had seen Mario show up unannounced. The hospital had records of his 50 phone calls. The court had 2 protection order requests sitting in front of them. Everyone knew this woman was in danger. And yet, when Latricia wrote, "I am asking for help before this goes too far," nobody moved fast enough. The system that's supposed to protect victims of domestic violence failed her in the most catastrophic way possible. She did everything right. She left him. She filed for protection. She asked for help. She followed every single step we tell domestic violence victims to take. And she still died. There is one silver lining to this tragedy, though it'll never bring Latricia back. Her death has sparked real change in Michigan. The state Senate recently passed bipartisan legislation that could require law enforcement to serve protection orders as quickly as possible. No more sitting on paperwork while someone's life hangs in the balance. The new laws would also prohibit courts and police from charging victims service fees for protection orders, because apparently some places were making women pay for the privilege of being protected from their abusers. Let that disgust you for a moment. This legislation is being called Latricia's Law by advocates. Her name will be attached to real change that could save countless other women who find themselves in the same nightmare she lived through. But I can't help but think she'd rather be alive than have a law named after her. So let me ask you something, and I really want you to think about this. Why do we wait until women are dead to take their fear seriously? Latricia told the court it was going to go too far. She knew. Why didn't we believe her? And how many other women right now are filing protection orders, making phone calls, begging for help, while their paperwork sits on someone's desk gathering dust? Here's another question that keeps me up at night. What makes a man like Mario Green believe he has the right to take a life just because he can't control it anymore? Is it pure entitlement? Is it rage? Is it the belief that if he can't have her, nobody can? What goes through someone's mind in those final moments before they pull the trigger on someone they once claimed to love? And maybe the biggest question of all, how many Mario Greens are out there right now, making those 50 phone calls, showing up uninvited, ignoring boundaries, escalating toward violence while the system moves at a snail's pace? If this case made you feel something, if it made you angry or sad or frustrated with a system that continues to fail women, then do me a favor. Share this video. Talk about Latricia's story. Say her name, because awareness is a first step toward change. And if you know someone in an abusive relationship, check on them, believe them, help them navigate the system that failed Latricia. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Shadow Crime, and hit that bell icon so you never miss a case. Drop a comment below telling me what you think about this case and what needs to change in our system. Until next time, stay safe out there.